stars, rock and rolling through the cool guitars. Chuck's got the questions, David's so sharp, peeling back layers, hitting the heart. Chuck Shute podcast, blowing your mind. Every topic, one of a kind.
First of all, welcome, BrianSanders, Food Lies, Peak Human Podcast, Nose to Tail products. Great stuff that you're doing. Any updates with the Food Lies film being released to the public?
Yeah, we got a production company now, so it's been a long journey, and now we have support from the professionals. Two of them were fighting over us, so it's good to be there and in this position finally.
So it will be released. Do we know? Can you say which platform or when?
No idea still. Yeah, we're putting together the pieces still, and we're pitching to Netflix soon. They think that Netflix would buy it.
Really? Now, do you
Yeah.
think there's going to be pushback from some of these like sponsors or some of these companies that maybe don't want some of these things exposed, such as the big food companies?
Possibly. I've heard that. I mean, I have personal friends that have gotten uninvited from TV shows and news programs because their message was against the advertisers, right? So it's like they were going to go on and talk about how bad cereal is, and then the cereal companies pay the bills, right? So Netflix doesn't really have the bills paid by big food, so I think we're okay, right? It's paid for by users, and people want to see this content, and I think there's enough people out there with this message. I mean, all kinds of controversial messages, so I'm not that worried.
Yeah, I think I heard you talking about, was it Maria Emmerich?
Yeah,
Is
Maria
that
Emmerich, yeah.
keto influencer? She was supposed to become on this TV show, and then the sponsor said, no, we don't want that person. So she got uninvited. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, and you started out as low carb kind of keto, but I noticed that and I think you even mentioned this, that you've added some carbs back in. And I thought it was cool. You shared some of your, one of your basic days and what you're eating. And one of the things that you're eating now is what is it called? Non-fortified rice with bone broth.
Yeah. Well, yeah, unfortified rice, and you try to get the best organic source of rice, but they add in these fake vitamins and minerals that you don't really want. It's just not in the right form. And so I get that kind of rice, and then I cook it in bone broth, so there's more nutrients. And it's just sort of a clean source of carbs if you want them. Yeah, so I've been on a almost 12-year journey, and I started out by cutting out carbs, and I lost a lot of weight and felt better, and it was amazing. And then I got into this low carb world and understood keto and all this stuff. But I then realized that's not the only way to do it. And maybe it's not optimal for everyone. There's all kinds of different situations, right? And some people want to do different sports than others. And I actually did a pentathlon, these 5 events, and I didn't even eat that day. And I was doing it without, all the gels, and people are like carbing up and every hour. And I just did it fasted, which was crazy. People didn't even understand it. So I was very fat adapted. I could do, full on track and field events. This was in Toronto. This is for the championships for the Masters, the older guy division. But it was fine, right? And I could play all the sports. But then I just thought, well, what if I try adding back in the carbs? And I realized that the processing was a problem, not necessarily the carbs. So I thought that I was going to gain weight if I started eating carbs again, right? Because that's how I lost the weight. And this is a lot of people's understanding, is that, oh, carbs are bad and I'm going to avoid them and then I lose weight. And that's not exactly true. I mean, it's a very good path, and maybe it will help people shake up their habits, stop eating processed foods, get rid of their sweet tooth, get metabolically flexible, be able to burn fat, letting your body run on fat. But maybe that's not the end all be all. So I added the whole food carbs back in, and I didn't gain weight, and I slept better, and I had, just different improvements in my life. And And so I've been doing this for almost 5 years. Yeah.
Wow. So that's good to know that, because that would be one thing that for me, if I was going to add back carbs, if I was doing full keto and then went to, because I know that if you start keto, you're going to lose weight, but then the fear would be, but then if you gain carbs back, or if you add carbs back, you're going to gain the weight, and you didn't, you're saying.
Yeah, I did not. And it's a bit hard. You have to, maybe in the transition period, your body's like, oh, wait a second, right? You're giving me carbs again. So there's definitely going to be a little transition. But the main message is it's not the carbs. I mean, we've been eating carbs forever, right? I mean, it depends on far back you go. But even if you go far back enough, we were eating carbs. Like if you believe in evolution and all that, the primates were eating mostly carbs, right? That was their food source. And then we transitioned to humans and our digestive systems changed. And then we were maybe mostly carnivore for a while. And there was, a million years where we were just eating mostly meat. But then, there's a long story there, but our digestive systems are very set up, and our bodies are set up to deal with carbs and fat and anything in between, any ratio, right? Depending on the season. And so, yeah, the real problem is the modern processing. That's the same thing with fat. I mean, I don't eat the seed oils. I don't eat the industrial oils. These are the modern processed versions of fat, and the modern processed version of carbs, which is just sugars and flours and all that. I mean, that's what I avoid. I still avoid those things, right? Sugar, flour, oil. That's the easiest way to think about it. Refined grains, added sugar, seed oils. If you don't eat those, you can probably eat any sort of diet and be okay, right? It's not the carbs that are the bad part. It was that most people are eating processed carbs.
Right. Yeah, no, that's definitely, but even I think we talked a little bit about this last time about how even with some of the good foods, right? Like plant foods or grains or whatever, it's like the soil and then the pesticides and things are spraying on it, and how I think some of this stuff has been genetically modified, which scares me. So like our seeds are not the same as in Europe. Like that's why people can eat bread in Europe, but not here. Like even if you have the cleanest bread you could get in America that didn't have all the additives and stuff, it's not the same, right? It's genetically engineered differently.
Yeah, that's like a puzzle that no one can really pin down, and I think it is the type, and they have like the heritage breeds of grains, or that they're not covered in glyphosate. Here, there's so many ideas of why that is. Some people even say it's just because you go to Europe and you're walking more, you're more active, and there's all kinds of things. But I think people who are gluten sensitive are better off in Europe. So it's not just calories and walking and stuff like that. So yeah, it's hard. That's why I try to find like the cleanest source of carbs, or like potatoes. I mean, these is just kind of like an old school food. I kind of think of things like what my grandparents ate, because you can also just look back to when people were healthier.
Yeah, my grandparents lived to their 90s.
Exactly.
And my grandma smoked for a lot of her years too.
Yeah, so she had such good inputs from her diet, environment, and lifestyle that she could handle smoking, right? So that was like the one big bad thing that she was doing. And the body's amazing, right? It can detoxify, and it regenerates, and it does all these things. So you can handle one of those stressors like smoking. But yeah, in our modern day, we have hundreds and hundreds of stressors, thousands really, uh, just microplastics, to like their environment, the sedentary lifestyle, to the bad food, to everything. It's endless. So you can't really afford anymore. But yes, we were healthier just last 2 generations ago, and they were eating carbs, right? They were eating whatever. They didn't count calories. They didn't do all these things. They were just eating meat and potatoes and whatever. I even call them like old school vegetables. Like they weren't eating mountains of kale and stuff like that, right? This is like this new concept of like getting like millions of leaves in our diet every day of the year. And I got caught up in that and was doing these kale shakes with spinach and almond milk, and I had oxalate problems. Yeah, it was terrible. It like ruined my skin. It probably ruined my gut. It's really probably the root cause of why my face was all red and messed up, and I have kidney problems from that. From the oxalate.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Kale can give you kidney issues?
Oh yeah. Oh, spinach is the worst one. Spinach is just tons and tons of oxalates. You can look it up. This is not like some fringe thing. It's just like common knowledge. Just how many, how many oxalates are in a serving of spinach, and it's off the charts. And kidney stones are made of calcium oxalate. So a lot of vegans get kidney stones because they're just eating oxalates all the time. And these are these sharp crystals that plants protect themselves with. So, pests don't eat them. And so we never ate. Well, spinach and kale are sort of newer vegetables. People also don't realize that a couple hundred years ago, we didn't have all the vegetables we have today. A lot of these are modern crossbreeds and different things that we've done.
Like
Couple hundred years
broccolini
ago.
or whatever?
What's that?
Broccolini, isn't I heard you talking about that.
Exactly. Or even broccoli in general. Like there's tons of these cruciferous vegetables that just came from the wild mustard plant. And so way back in the day, all we had was this stringy little leaves, the wild mustard. And then we turned that into broccoli and Brussels sprouts and kohlrabi and cauliflower. All these things just came from that. So, I mean, I'm not against those foods.
Don't they have
necessarily.
some benefits to? Don't you need some cruciferous vegetables for certain things?
I mean, you don't need any food, really. I mean, I think you need meat, but you don't need any like cruciferous vegetables specifically. They have a lot of probably things that are helpful, and they have antioxidants, and they have folate, and they have some vitamins for sure. But I mean, you can get those elsewhere. You know what I mean? It's not like you have to eat cruciferous vegetables. You can find those vitamins and minerals and antioxidants in other foods. But yes, they are good sources of those. And if you're eating them, my main point was that for all of history, we ate them when they were available in the right amounts. And then I was doing something very unnatural, which is blending them into a smoothie every day of the year. So it's no wonder I had problems, right?
It's too much, is what you're saying.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm not scared of any food of like broccoli. Like I'll eat broccoli. I really do try to not eat spinach anymore though, right? It's just, there's just too many oxalates in spinach, and I specifically have a problem. But again, if there's like, I'm at someone's wedding and they have the spinach salad to start off, I'll eat some spinach. I don't really mind.
How did you know? You said your skin changed because you were having too much. What else you said? How did you know you have a kidney issue? Is that just because of the skin, or was there other signs?
Yeah, well, it took me a long time to figure it out, and then I had to learn about oxalates. There's a whole book about it. If people want to know more about this, I interviewed Sally Norton. So she's a scientist that wrote a book on this and has been studying for many years. So huge rabbit hole. I just noticed that it was just getting worse and worse, and I was eating healthy. I was cleaning up my diet, so I thought I was doing well, and that the spinach and kale was helping me. But then my skin and my face got worse and worse. It was just like, it was like almost like a rash, like red, irritated skin, like not like acne. It's just like a terrible, like irritated, flaky redness. And then I stopped, and then it went away, and it slowly, and then I'd have like the flare ups. But then I really understood what was going on when I cut out oxalates for probably 2 years. Then, those AG1 or like green shake, green.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
powder.
Rogan always advertises those.
Yeah, I think they're terrible. I think it's just a bag of oxalates. It's just a bag of concentrated oxalates. And I figured this out. Well, no one knows this because it's kind of hard to figure out with food. There's so many things. People just eat so many things. You never know what the problem is, right? You could take this stuff forever and you never know. But I was in a specific situation to figure this out. So I got off the oxalates for 2 years, right? I stopped the kale and spinach shakes like probably 4 years before that, right? So I didn't have those. Then for 2 years, I was still eating spinach and stuff. Then for 2 years, I was eating none of that, right? So my body was primed and ready with, not getting oxalates. Some company sent me the shake. I was like, oh, I'll try this. I haven't had a lot of greens in a while. And I woke up in the middle of the night and like past kidney stones. Almost. It was kind of like, it was so painful. It was terrible. It's like small, sort of, it wasn't like actual stones, but it was like white and like cloudy. And then you can look this up. It's just oxalates. It's just like a well-known thing, and it just hurts.
Wow.
And it was terrible. And so I never drank one of those things again.
You know what I've noticed too? This is interesting. And again, I mean, maybe everyone has a different experience with these products, but I think I had one. It was similar. It was like, I think it was Jocko's greens or whatever.
Mhm.
And I had that. And I think you've had this issue before in the past too, is I would get really bad acid reflux from drinking those, because I don't know if it's because of so much sugar in it too, or the sweetener. I don't know what it is, but because usually I get acid reflux from like more like junk food. And I thought this was like healthy. So I was so confused, but I don't know what it is, but
That
something
could
about
be.
those
Yeah.
shakes.
It could also just be, I mean, it's irritating your gut lining, right?
Yeah.
The tons of oxalates, and yeah.
That's so funny because I swear AG1, they advertise that on almost every podcast, especially health-centered podcasts. So that's funny to hear that. I mean, I believe you too. I think, because it doesn't, for me, it hurts to drink those. I don't like it.
It's not good. And maybe it could be okay for some people though. I'm not saying like there's so many nuances to this, right? It's like if you're gluten intolerant, don't eat gluten, but that doesn't mean that some guy in Europe can't eat bread. You know, it's like,
Well, yeah, back to the bread thing. So I was going to ask you this. Did you, because I had this guy on my podcast that wrote The Dorito Effect. Did you read that book?
oh, Mark Schatzker's my man.
Yeah.
I've read all his books and interviewed him multiple times.
Yeah, he's so if people go down that rabbit hole, like the way he was explaining, I mean, I think he talks about in the book about how, back in the day, it was like this, was it vitamin B deficiency? I think it was.
Yeah, it's one of the B. Yeah, there's many B vitamins.
Thiamine.
Yeah,
And then
thiamine.
so there was two ways to deal with it, and Europe dealt with it by adding rabbit meat to eat with their food or whatever, and that cured it. And then America is like, oh, we'll put these B vitamins in the bread. And I mean, maybe it's a coincidence, but then I feel like the obesity epidemic kind of followed shortly after that.
Well, so did you read The End of Craving, his newer book? I think
Yeah.
it goes more into detail.
Wait, no, I don't know if I have read that one.
Well, so yeah, Dorito Fact is epic. I love that book. The End of Craving is his newer book, and it talks way more about the B vitamins and the food supplementation, like you're talking about, fortification. And that's actually what I was talking about earlier. I was kind of talking about that concept of the food fortification. It causes problems, and the studies in pigs. And you should just read that book, The End of Craving, if you haven't, or anyone
I
listening.
can't remember. I read two of his books. I don't know if that was that one. Is there another one that was about? Oh, maybe it was End of Craving.
I think it was The End of Craving because it
Okay.
went into the fortification a lot. Yes.
Yeah, maybe that's. But I think I've learned that from his book and from a lot of your work as well. That and you talk about this with fiber, because people always say like, oh, you got to have more fiber, and if you eat more fiber, you're healthier. But you explain how that a lot of it is because if you're eating more fiber, that usually means you're eating the whole food, and that's what we need. We need all of it, all the food, all the what they do is when they process it, they split all this stuff up, and you're getting bits and pieces, and a lot of it you're getting the worst piece of the food, the cheapest part that's easy to produce, right? And that's the most unhealthy.
Yes, and I just put out an article about this today. Maybe you saw that. I was joking. I'm not really joking, but nutritionists have one job and they don't even understand it.
Yeah.
That was the title of my article I put out today, just an hour ago. And it's about this exact concept that people think that fiber is this magical substance. So again, I'm not carnivore, right? There's a lot of these carnivore doctors out there, Chafee, Sean Baker, these people. And they're saying fiber is toxic and you need zero fiber, and they're going on and on. I'm not in that camp, but I'm saying fiber is very misunderstood. It's not some magical substance. There's not some goal. It's like, oh, you need to get 3 to 8 servings of fiber per day, or whatever. They say that with whole grains. You need to get this amount of fruits and vegetables, 5 to 8 servings of fruits and vegetables per day, 3 to 4 servings of whole grain. This, 25 to 50 grams of fiber. None of this makes any sense, and it's completely wrong. And read the article if you're listening, the Food Lies Substack. And I make the analogy, it's like thinking that a football team is good because the fans, right? It's like, oh, they're winning. If you were this an alien looking at like, oh, well, this team has more and louder fans, and that's why they're winning. Like, no, it's the opposite. That team is better. And that's why they're winning, right? And then they attract all the fans. So it's kind of like it's like you need to understand that, or you don't understand anything about football or the real world or anything. And so these nutritionists, dietitians, doctors, mainstream, everything, the USDA, they don't even understand nutrition. They're doing the same thing. They're saying that you just need to get this certain amount of fiber, and that fiber is what you're trying to get. And that is backwards and wrong. It's you need to get whole foods and avoid processed foods, and that is what's making you healthy. So of course, all the studies show that people who eat more fiber are healthier. But then they're thinking it's the fiber. Fiber is an indigestible substance. It's a non-nutritive substance. But again, okay, soluble fiber, your gut can break it down into butyric acid, and it feeds your gut. But it also collagen feeds your gut too. Like animal tissue can feed your gut. Ketones can feed your gut if you don't eat, right? The human body's ready for anything. You only have animal foods. We'll feed our gut lining with collagen. You're not going to eat it all, or you didn't get a hunt, right? The hunt failed. We'll use ketones. You're giving me plant matter. Okay, we'll use the soluble fiber, right? It always has something to feed its gut. So it's not like this fiber is this necessary thing. Carnivores are proving it. There's people who haven't eaten fiber in like 10 years. I know a lot of these people, and they're perfectly healthy, amazing. So again, of course, the studies show that people who eat more fiber are healthier, because that means people who eat more whole foods are healthier. And eating is kind of a zero-sum game. There's only so much you eat in a day. So if you're eating more whole foods, by definition, you're eating less processed foods, right?
So in your research, what do you think is going on with the colon cancer? Because it's weird, because I think they used to say you had to get a colonoscopy at age 50. And then my friend was saying, oh, I had to get a colonoscopy. I go, why? Do you have an issue or something? You don't have to do that till you're 50. He goes, no, they changed it. It's 45. And then when I went to go get it, and they're getting me all ready, and I mean, I'm so scared. And the nurse is telling me, oh, we found colon cancer in a kid who was 8 years old.
Oh my God.
So how is an 8-year-old kid getting colon cancer? Because they say that the colon cancer is caused by eating too much red meat. I mean, how much red meat can an 8-year-old eat in a lifetime? I mean, it's eating like steak for every meal and like injecting those veins. I don't understand.
Well, he clearly wasn't. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely there must be some genetic thing there, but that's definitely an environmental thing. It's definitely just all of the toxic things in your environment or food, and processed foods or the environment, right? It must be. And then with this specific situation, it must be some sort of,
because I don't remember ever. I mean, they're seeing it in younger, and that's why they've changed it from 50 to 45. The guy that played Black Panther, I think he was only like 28 when he got it, and he died before he was 30 or 31 or so. He was very young. I mean, they're seeing it in younger. It's changing. That's what I'm saying. Like, follow the science, like my shirt says. We're following the science. So the science is like more and more people are getting colon cancer. And supposedly, I thought we were eating less red meat. We're following the food pyramid, right? People are eating more bread. So something's going on there. But do we know why is there an increase, I guess, is my question.
Well, that's the best point. That's what I was going to say, is we're eating less red meat. And the statistics prove that. Over the years, people have gotten the message from the higher ups in the government that we should eat less. So yeah, it doesn't make sense at all. I haven't studied colon cancer. I just know it's something to do with the diet and lifestyle that we have all these toxic things in our diet and lifestyle. So it's yes, like you said, the bread, that's what we're eating more of. We're eating more processed foods. There's just more different chemicals and environmental toxins. And that makes sense that that's what would be causing colon cancer, not the food that we've eaten for all of our existence, which is meat. It's just weird that people would even look to the foods that are foundational to our nutrition. Just any whole food that's been around for more than 100 years, you just automatically should not look at that. It makes no sense scientifically. But the thing is, the who runs the science, I like of course, there's a dollar sign as a S in your shirt, is it's the processed foods, it's big pharma, it's all the big systems do the studies, and they have incentive to do the studies and to pay for them. And there's no money in Whole Foods. No, no one's going to pay for this study that's trying to prove, Whole Foods are healthy. So it's just processed food companies and, the whole system really that supports big pharma and big food will point to anything but them. Right? I think that's the ultimate thing of why people think meat and animal foods are unhealthy, is because they need a scapegoat. They figured this out about 75 years ago. In the 50s, they started blaming saturated fat on the problems because they need a boogeyman. They need a scapegoat. And they started to realize I don't know if your listener, what kind of tinfoil hats they wear, but
hey, if they're listening to me, they have to. I mean, I get called a conspiracy theorist, and I get called stupid a lot, which is so fascinating to me because I feel like everything I talk about and what you're saying, if you start even just doing a little bit of research, a lot of this is very out in the open. It's a lot of it's common sense.
It's common sense. It's open. It's just money. It's just not a conspiracy. It's just, it's a conspiracy in the sense that, yes, there's a lot of people making a lot of money conspiring to keep it that way.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. We were saying before we started the episode, we were talking a little bit about just how, to me, it's just the hardest part about this stuff when you start to learn is like, I understand it. So I'll be fine. I'm not worried about myself as much. I'm more worried about other people. I know that's a crazy idea to care about people, and trying to wake people up. Like, guys, like, you're getting screwed here. You're learning the wrong thing. And then you get called a conspiracy theorist or stupid or an idiot or yeah.
Well, yeah, that's how the system's designed. I've studied the system a lot lately since COVID. I woke up to a lot more things. I woke up before COVID to, big food, big pharma, and all this stuff is backwards. Then I kind of woke up even more when I'm like, oh, wait, kind of the whole world is a bit backwards, but why? And then it started making sense when you realize there's people in charge. There's always a hierarchy, right? There's always like a pyramid of influence and control. Back to, that's just how humans work. It's even a tribe of chimpanzees have their little hierarchy, right? Then back to the pharaohs and the slaves. There's always some hierarchy. So there's still a hierarchy there. And the people at the very top, I don't think we even know who they are. I think it goes beyond government. It's not like, oh, Trump.
Well, I think the government is just, a lot of those politicians are paid for by these powers that be, the companies, the corporations.
Yeah. And the powers that be can change. It's not like, one cabal of the same people. I think there's this sort of loose powers that be that's kind of pull strings at a worldwide level. And they have the common interests, and what's good for them is bad for you at the bottom. And what's good for you at the bottom is bad for them. Did I say that right? What's good for them, making a lot of money, is bad for you, which is just eat this slop.
Yeah. You mentioned COVID. I mean, that was interesting because I thought that was a big thing when it came out a couple of years ago, that a lot of the information about COVID was and the vaccines were wrong. And then I got into this argument with somebody who, and they cited the Lancet study. And so I thought, okay, well, I mean, I don't know a lot about, that's interesting, but I would be suspicious of any of these studies because I feel like a lot of them are corrupted. Well, later I was listening to RFK, which I know, controversial figure, but he was mentioning how the editor-in-chief of the Lancet had said that he feels a lot of these studies are corrupted, that the studies and the journals are not legitimate anymore because they're in bed with a lot of these pharmaceutical companies and corporations. And I thought, oh, okay, well, that must be a RFK conspiracy. That can't be real. And then I literally just went on Google and said Lancet editor-in-chief. And it says, right, people can do it themselves, editor-in-chief Lancet, and then it said there was some other people, other editor-in-chiefs of these journals that said the same thing. They echoed those concerns.
Hmm.
So I don't think this is conspiracy at this point. I feel like this is just fact that a lot of these journals are corrupted by the corporations and the people that are sponsoring these studies. I mean, again, I don't think it's conspiracy. I think it's fact, but
Hmm.
you try to convince people of this, they don't want to believe it.
That's by design. So that's how we started on this. So you're completely correct. It's not a conspiracy. It should be well known, but no one wants to believe it. And the system is designed to keep people to just believing in this standard narratives, right? And that's just how it works. It's genius too. It's like
Yeah.
if you like even calling someone a conspiracy theorist, that's like part of the plan. Exactly. It's like if you think differently, now we have this label that we're going to put on you, and now you're discredited. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
you're concerned about this new vaccine. Oh, you're anti-vaxxer. Now you're just discredited. It's
Yeah. That's
anything.
interesting because I'm not loyal to any one politician or one person or political party. I literally just want the truth. I don't, if the
Yeah.
truth is, if I'm wrong and the truth is proven that to me, then I'll be like, oh, okay. Like, well, that's good to know. I'd like to know that because a lot of stuff I think I was wrong when all the nutrition classes that I got an A in nutrition in college. And but actually the teacher even invited me to major in nutrition because I was such a good student. And but a lot of that stuff that he taught me ended up being wrong.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm open to being wrong. I mean, I was wrong in the sense that I thought that low carb was it.
Yeah.
And I did all this content on it, and then I realized that I was wrong and that I'm healthier with the whole food carbs. So
Hmm.
yes, I call it camp no camp. And that's what I've learned over the years is
Love it.
I am camp no camp, which is a bit funny because it's a camp in itself. But you have to be
Right. It's like atheist. Like that's kind of a religion in itself. Yeah.
exactly. But yeah, camp no camp. But I mean, it's like humans. We kind of it's our nature to be in a camp. And so my
Sure.
camp that I choose is camp no camp. I mean, it's also kind of funny because it's poking fun in itself that it's like, yeah,
Mhm.
we can't be perfect. I'm not. I am just in a camp, but I'm always striving to
Right.
be in no camp. It's this like I can't be. No one's completely unbiased. It's impossible to have zero bias. Anything that you do
Yeah.
in life, there's some sort of bias. It's like living in America, so I have some sort of bias for people who've been born in America, right?
Yeah.
So, uh, but I try to not fall into a camp and into dogma, and that's my goal. And along the way, it's really helped me in the nutrition stuff and anything. And yes, I'm open to being wrong, but there's some things that I'm fairly certain I'm not wrong about, right? There's a foundational truth, and it's usually around nature, right? There is truth in nature, in human nature, and well, in nature in general, right? That if you take an animal out of that environment, they don't do as well. And they had all these things in zoos where animals wouldn't procreate, and they didn't know why. They're like, oh, we're giving the tiger meat. Why isn't it procreating? It was like, well, it's lonely. It's not hunting. It's not eating the whole animal. You're just giving it muscle meat and some fat. It's not getting the organs. It's not getting all those nutrients. It's not getting that even experience of devouring a carcass and hunting it, right? So then they started giving it like a carcass instead of just meat, and then it started procreating,
Hmm.
right? So, yeah, so
Wow.
it's like nature doesn't lie, right? There's foundational things to nature. So my new way of thinking about things is just following nature. Like you can't cheat nature, right? So processed food is trying to cheat nature. They're like, oh, well, yeah, it has protein and it has calories in it, and it's the same as meat, so it's just as good as meat. It's absolutely false. And they've done a lot of studies to show that if we're talking about fake meat or these plant-based meats. My friend Dr. Stefan von Vliet does this research with mass spectrometry, and they look at all these meats, and there's 70,000 secondary compounds in foods that are completely different when you're talking about meat compared to other like fake meat products. And there's also we just know about the bioavailability and completeness of real meat versus plant-based meat. So basically, you can't cheat nature, right? You can't just create like a cow that's living its life on grass, and there's so many inputs that have gone into that you cannot replicate, right? So that's an example just for food, but that extends to any part of life. So if you want to do thought experiments, or if someone tells you, oh, well, this is the way it is. Well, you can just think, okay, well, how does this work in nature? Right? Like generally in nature, like has this been what we were doing, or is this how nature works? And if not, then you have to start questioning it. But if it does align with nature, like eating red meat, that aligns with nature. That's something that humans have done and helped us become human. Then you can be fairly certain that red meat is not causing colon cancer or heart disease or obesity, right? You need, it's like a sanity check, they call it, right? It's like, I feel like the nutrition world especially does no sanity checks of like, oh, is it all these brand new concoctions that we've created and in the lab with all the engineers, making it hyper palatable and adding all these crazy ingredients? Or, is that the problem? Or is it meat that we've always eaten, right? They're not, they can't even think of this.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, obviously, when I look at it's cool that you posted what you eat in a day. And I mean, you only have 2 meals a day and they both have red meat. You have ground beef and grass-fed steak. How much beef and steak are you eating in those meals?
As much as I want. No, well, really, I don't know. I've never measured it. Probably like 10 to 12 ounces.
Okay.
I try to eat. I mean, I'll definitely need more, like a pound and a half of meat per day. Right. So that's why I guess 10 to 12 ounces, 12 ounces would be times 2 is 24. That's a pound and a half.
Okay. And so, cause my gym is always saying, they want me to get like 200 grams of protein a day, but then I thought there was a thing like you're not supposed to eat more than 50 or 60 grams of protein in one sitting. Do you agree with that? Or do you think it doesn't matter?
Well, so that was the conventional thinking that your body could only absorb 50 grams of protein in one meal. But there's a study in the last year, I think it was probably in the last year, that disproved that. And you can absorb more than 50 grams of protein. So there's no upper limit, but it might be better, probably a little more optimal to spread out that protein per meal. And I don't know, your gym's thinking behind that. I mean, maybe, are you 200 pounds?
No, I'm like 165. I don't know, but yeah, for some, they want me to get like mostly 200 grams of protein. And I think it's like whatever, like a little bit less of carbs and fat. It's always hard to get the protein. I get the carbs and fats. I get that right away, but it's like
the 200
protein.
Well, I asked because I don't think people, if you're not 200 pounds, you don't really need to eat 200 grams of protein. I mean, I'm very into protein, right? I'm like the most protein forward person possible, but I would say at 165, you would only need 165 grams of protein per day. And you could probably get away with, 150. Like if you do 150, you will be totally good. And if you want to eat more, that's probably helpful, but not required.
Would it help me put on more bulk though and get me real buff and ripped?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you could do that with, well, I guess they say a gram per pound of ideal body weight.
Okay.
Right. So then if you're 400 pounds, then your ideal, that could be different than if you're 120 pounds and you want to bulk up, right? And so, I don't know.
But you don't measure any of that. Like it says in your thing, you're like, you have no idea on the calories. You think you say you definitely get enough protein and you have no idea on fats and carbs. I mean, I could probably guess if you tell me how much of the meat that you're eating and how much rice, I could probably figure out the math, but you've never.
Well, yeah. Like what's a pound and a half of meat? I mean, that should be enough protein. I have other sorts of protein too, with some dairy products and stuff.
Right.
But I did once in my life, I put it in some app so I could know. And yeah, I was getting like 150 grams of protein a day. Like I'm not that heavy. I'm pretty lean. So I'm only like 155 probably. And so, yeah, I'm like getting around a gram a pound.
Yeah. And you're ripped. I mean, and you're in your 40s like me and you have a 6-pack.
Yeah. Check out my photo. I took that photo when I was 42, which was a month ago when I turned 42. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like I'm trying to make it easy. I posted some of this stuff recently in response to Brian Johnson, who's the Don't Die guy. He's the famous guy that I think is just kind of gimmicks and a salesman. And he is kind of the opposite philosophy of, I just want to go away from nature as much as possible. Taking 100 supplements per day. He's afraid of the sun. He's pale. He's vegan, actually. He's doing just everything the opposite. His whole life is tracking and doing really unnecessary things and obsessing over everything. And I have the exact opposite philosophy. I'm, eating mostly meat and animal foods. I don't track anything. I don't stress about any of this stuff. I spend very little time per day on any of this. I don't need to spend hours and hours in the gym. I only spend 1 hour per week in the gym. And that's why I posted that photo that I had great results from 60 minutes per week in a gym. It does not need to be super hard and time consuming. You can if you want. If you like going to the gym, then do it for longer. And so yeah, I have this philosophy that you shouldn't need to track and you shouldn't need to stress over all this stuff, and you can keep it simple and doesn't have to be expensive, doesn't have to be your full-time job like Brian Johnson. It's simple.
Yeah, let's break that down. I want to get back into more of what you eat, but also you mentioned something, I don't think we talked about this last time, is the sun. And that's something that I noticed. I don't know if this is what happened, but I mean, I've been pretty strict on my diet and everything. I went on this road trip and I was not eating very healthy because I was on a road trip, right? But I noticed when I got back, I was scared to get on the scale and everything. And I was like, ooh, this is going to be bad. And I looked and I went, what? My body fat went down, I think like 2.5%. I think I gained like 2 or 3 pounds of muscle mass.
Wow.
And this is by not working out and eating and not eating well. But I figured this is my theory, is the one thing is I was in this car all day and it was sunny and I was in the car for like 8 or 10 hours a day and I was getting a lot of sun and vitamin D. Do you think that is something that would help synthesize muscle or protein better or make me healthier? I don't know. I just couldn't figure out what was it, just taking a break? Maybe my body
That
needs
is
a break.
interesting. Yeah, I'm not going to say there's any direct evidence that would help you like build muscle, especially, or lose weight. I very confident that vitamin D helps your health in general. So there could be some pathways of you are deficient in vitamin D probably a bit, and then you got a bunch of it in your body's like, yes, we are going to work better. Our immune system's going to be better. All of our processes are going to work better. Our hormones are going to work better. Vitamin D is really a foundational part of the hormone process, right? So it actually could be maybe in your, maybe your testosterone went up during that week and you could synthesize more muscle from the protein that you were eating. So if you just, you were getting probably protein, you were probably eating bad foods, but you're still getting protein, right?
Yeah.
You're still getting your protein in. And yeah, for that could be what happened. But vitamin D in general, the sun is just huge for so many things. I get my sun pretty much every day. I have like a routine of going down. I'm in Austin. I have this sort of apartment complex pool thing. I go lie down and I read, and I get about 18 minutes of sun per side. I turn over, and I haven't been sick in, I don't know, 9 years.
Dang.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Why? So I did a lot of things at once. So I changed my diet, right? I got rid of the processed foods, ate more animal foods, and I got in the sun. And I don't know what else to attribute it to other than.
Right, so did 9 years. So if I'm doing the math, and did you never get COVID?
So that's the thing. So I did supposedly get COVID, and I didn't really get sick. Like I had sort of a bit of a rough weekend. I remember so what happened is it was 2.5 years after COVID. I didn't get a single. I was like trying to get COVID. I didn't care at all. I just knew it was just all kind of overblown. And from day one, I was dating this nurse, and she was kind of telling me, "Oh, it's not as bad as you think. It's both." She's kind of giving me the inside scoop. And I was just hanging out with her every day. And she came from the hospital in downtown LA with the COVID patients, and then I would just hang out with her, and I didn't even care. And so nothing happened for 2.5 years. And then I went home to Hawaii. Yeah, traveling, was beat down by the flights and not sleeping and eating poorly. And I went to a wedding and, was drinking at this wedding. And on the flight home, I think I got on the flight home. And then just because my body was so run down, I was just sort of illustrating that really, if I'm just doing my normal thing, I just don't get sick. Nothing happens. People will say they're sick and I'm with them and nothing happens to me, right? I think that's how the immune system works. If it's just getting, so few people get all that they need, right? So few people getting the right diet and vitamin D and all this stuff. And if you do, it's just amazing and you just don't get sick. So I wore down my body. So then on the plane, my body, I guess, got the virus. And I don't know, my head hurt and I just felt a little weird, but that was it I didn't miss any work. I don't really count that as being sick. I was going to do that caveat, but I chose not to. Sometimes when I tell the story of me not getting sick in 9 years, I do give the caveat of, well, 2024, I had or 2023, I had a bad weekend. But other than that, no.
Wow.
And I used to get sick all the time. My whole life, I was just normal, get sick every 3 months, get the flu, get all these different things throughout the year. And then it just completely stopped.
Yeah, I've been starting to eat, like, I've been way more strict on my diet and a lot of this stuff. And I can't remember the last time I was sick besides COVID. I think after COVID is when I really buckled down. I was like, I got to start eating better and doing better. And so I'm trying to remember the last time. I can't remember. It's weird. And you see the people that if they don't take care of their health, they get sick much more frequently.
Yeah. And it's just, that's how the immune system works, right? If it's trying to fight off all these bad inputs, it's not going to be also able to fight off some sort of virus that comes around.
Right. Well, so, and going back to what you eat in a day, it's a lot of ground beef and steak, and then there's some cheese and eggs. And then the other thing that I was going to ask you about was, because this seems to be a thing I see a lot of, is pickles and sauerkraut. So fermented foods. Explain what is the benefit of that on gut health? Because I think that's something I didn't realize that they're saying gut health is related to your mental state. Like a lot of people with gut health issues, that's the cause, could be the cause of their depression, which is crazy to me.
Oh yeah. Yes. Your gut is your second brain. There's a huge gut brain axis. This has been studied in the last, say, 10 years, a lot more. And it's pretty incredible. Yeah. You're feeling in your gut. I mean, that is a real feeling. That is sort of like you have nerve endings. You actually create serotonin in your gut, right? So people would know that from the feeling good chemical. And if if you have bad gut, if you're eating terrible food, low serotonin production, depression. Yes, it all makes sense. So I think there's many benefits to fermented foods. It's not all just probiotics, right? That's one of the things that people know about, right? Sauerkraut, tons of probiotics. And that's one benefit. Another benefit is that it kind of reduces some of the anti-nutrients. Like we talked about oxalates. There's other anti-nutrients in plants, and fermenting them will get rid of some of those. Another benefit is they're just really low calorie in general. I don't count calories or anything, but they're like, I call them free foods. Like pickles and sauerkraut. If you're trying to lose weight, or even if you're not, you can eat unlimited pickles and sauerkraut. Like you would get sick of pickles and sauerkraut before they had any sort of anything to do with your weight gain. Like they do not contribute towards fat gain, right? They really contribute to fat loss. They're really kind of the opposite. They're voluminous. They, like we were talking about whole foods earlier. Like what's the benefit of fiber is the fact that it means you're eating intact foods. Right. So the benefit of fiber is not the fiber, it's the intactness. And that means by definition, it's not processed. So it's not stuffed with extra sugar, flour, and oil, but it's also your body recognizes it as a whole food and it has even a volume. Like humans eat about 3 to 5 pounds foods per day, depending on your size and weight and stuff, no matter what. And so you kind of need a volume of food to feel satisfied, and your stomach has stretch receptors and stuff. So eating fermented foods like pickles and sauerkraut, it's super low calorie, or low energy and it has zero processed energy, and you are full and you get probiotics and you get some nutrients, right? It has different nutrients in them, vitamins and minerals. It's like it's the ultimate food. So that's good if you're hearing people are eating it. Yeah, I heard. Yeah, RFK was talking about that's what he eats. He eats like meat and fermented vegetables. It's becoming a popular thing. I'd like to say I'm proud that I've been doing this for over 10 years of just eating a lot of meat and fermented foods. I got on early, but yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. And yeah, you mentioned the RFK, and that's one thing. Like again, I'm in camp, no camp. I think RFK brings up a lot of really interesting points. But one of the things he does that I'm not a fan of personally is he takes, and a lot of people at my gym do this as well, is they take the artificial testosterone just because I don't want to be reliant on
Oh yeah.
pharmaceuticals. Cause I think kind of once you start that path, I don't think you could, if you stop taking it, then I think your body shuts down making it naturally. So one thing that I think that's cool that you do, that you don't promote a lot of supplements and things like this, but you talk about this oyster supplement you said it's increased your testosterone naturally. And I'm very curious about this. I take a zinc supplement, but I think I'd rather just take this. It sounds really awesome. Explain what this supplement is. I listened to the podcast with the guy who makes it. It's really cool.
Oh yeah, Stephen from Ireland. Yeah, I'm really into this stuff. And I almost don't count as a supplement because usually a supplement is a refined and isolated thing that you take. And this is just a whole food that is dehydrated and put into a pill. So
Sure.
I guess, yeah, it's a supplement, but it's kind of not.
It's like a steak. If you took steak and put it into powder and then.
Yeah, it's kind of real food to me, but it's just easier than trying to eat oysters. I tried to just eat oysters and it's just like I wasn't doing consistently. So when I just took these pills that I started making with Steven and took them consistently, I felt the difference. It's the only supplement I've ever taken where I felt the difference and I saw the difference in my numbers. So I got some blood tests a couple years ago. So this is not like a perfect test, but I haven't changed my diet in 2 years. Like I changed it probably 4 or 5 years ago, like I said, adding more carbs. But in the 2 years, I didn't change it. And the only thing I did was eat the oysters, and my testosterone went up to like I have like a top 1% testosterone for 42-year-olds in the country. And I just feel amazing. You can feel it. And it's definitely just the oysters, and they have a lot of zinc, but it's a bioavailable zinc, right? It's from a real source. I don't trust like a supplemental form of zinc. But maybe even more important is that it has the cofactors. So because it's a whole food, and oysters are an incredible source of nutrition. Like only liver, beef, any sort of ruminant liver is the only thing that compares to oysters. Oysters are the very top of nutrient density and just hard to get nutrients. It has tons of selenium, copper, B12, iron, but mainly the hard to get nutrients would be the zinc and the selenium and the copper. Those three, a lot of people are deficient in those, and they're kind of cofactors to a lot of these things in general are cofactors for making your testosterone. So you can look that up online, like how is zinc involved in testosterone production? It's very involved. So it makes sense to me. I heard that oysters were aphrodisiacs, and I thought it was kind of bogus. I'm like, oh, well, that's just some stupid old thing, wives' tale type of thing. But I'm like, oh, no, it's true. It's just that most people are deficient in zinc and probably selenium and copper. And when they eat the oysters, all of a sudden they're getting a little frisky, like it makes sense. Their body is ready to reproduce because it's getting all its nutrients. So I think the vast majority of people are out there nutrient deficient, zinc deficient, and just an isolated zinc supplement's not going to do that. What oysters can do.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the other thing that zinc would do is it helps immunity. And then another thing that you talked about, which I think your dad and my dad both had prostate cancer, and zinc could actually, that's in these oyster supplements, could prevent prostate cancer.
I didn't even look into that one actually.
Oh, I thought I heard that. I thought that was I thought I got that from your podcast.
Oh, I think that's what Steven said actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So So,
It's
some
crazy because I remember my dad. I remember this vividly. I think it was in the 90s or the early 2000s, and there was a lot of talk of soy, and soy is the new miracle food. And he was eating. He goes, I remember him saying this specifically. Well, I hope they don't ever find out soy's bad for you because we're eating a lot of soy right now. Because he thought that was going to be the thing that was because it prevents it. I think it does prevent certain types of cancer, but I think it may have contributed to prostate cancer.
Oh,
I think it could cause
I
other.
don't think it does anything good. I think, yeah, it's more estrogenic.
Right.
I think it's like the opposite of testosterone. And testosterone is what you need, what men need, and women need it too. Women need definitely some testosterone. Uh, yes, I'm not a fan of soy. I think that was just like a big kind of marketing campaign or just wrong ideas for one reason or another, right? So many things in nutrition are backwards. Yeah, I'm not a fan of soy.
Yeah, and I wonder, is there a connection with soy and breast cancer?
I think I've heard that.
Yeah.
Again, like it's super hard. I never say I'm certain about anything these days, right? And
Right.
there's studies that show all kinds of things, and I don't even trust the research, but there probably is some. I think I have heard there's a good correlation between soy and breast cancer because, again, it's not natural. It's like if it's a very estrogenic thing, even I mean, women need estrogen, but not in the wrong form or in excess. With
Right.
all these soy products.
Yeah, because I wonder too, like, I think maybe initially the thought was they studied some Asian cultures and there was a lot of soy in there and they didn't get cancer, but it's probably the other things that they were eating. And they were probably also getting the soy in the soybean natural form, not some sort of weird processed, took out all the nutrients and just put the soy and stuff.
Exactly. Well, that's a good point. See, that's what I'm saying is there could be other studies correlating soy with better health. That's why it's like I don't trust any of these studies because yes, Asian populations do a million good things.
Yeah.
Besides eating soy. Soy is just sort of this they just have that around and it's just something they eat and it's has some protein in it and just along for the ride in their healthy diet and lifestyle.
Yeah, no, and I think the best advice I can give to people about all this stuff and food and supplements or whatever is like, try things. Try keto, try vegan and see how you feel. Because I think a lot of this stuff you can feel it even shortly after you eat it, or if you stick to it for a few days or a week or two, like you'll notice it. Like I know for me, I tried the vegan diet because I heard so many things. Oh, that's so good for you. Me and my girlfriend both tried it, and she doesn't do well because it's a lot of soy in the vegan products, and she didn't do well with her digestive system. And I gained weight. I was like, wait, I'm not eating any meat and I'm gaining weight. I was like, this makes no sense to me.
Well, it makes sense to me because it's not a human diet. And yeah, I think there's something to the nutrient to energy ratio, which maybe I shouldn't have brought up. There's not enough time to do it justice, but that's what I think the ultimate thing is, especially camp, no camp. It's like, okay, there's a million diets out there throughout history and throughout the world, and some of them are good and some of them are not so good. And it comes down to nutrients and energy. And I mentioned energy earlier as what I mean by that is like calories, like sort of like energy calories, fats and carbs mainly are energy calories, and then nutrient calories, protein, vitamins, and minerals. And if you're looking at the balance of those two, like you want high nutrients and then the correct amount of energy, right? Like, are you active? Like what age are you? All these things matter how much energy you need today to get through the day. And so most people are doing the opposite. It's like they're low nutrients, high energy, right? So they're eating, and that's kind of what a vegan diet is. It's a lot of energy and a lot of nutrients. Animal foods have the best nutrients. They have the most complete vitamins and minerals and protein. And then so you're just eating. So it makes sense you would gain weight. If you're like fruitarian and just starving yourself, yes, you can lose a lot of weight too and a lot of muscle. But generally that makes sense that you ate too much energy compared to your nutrients. So your body, this is kind of part of Mark Schatzker and the Dorito effect stuff, is that
right.
Your body eats to get enough nutrients. And if you
it just keeps eating if it doesn't have the nutrients in there.
Exactly. So yeah, I put together my kind of master theories through guys like Dr. Ted Naiman, who people should look up. He's amazing, just family medicine doctor that really gets it. Talks about protein leverage hypothesis, and which is kind of on this is animals, all animals, from locusts to mice to humans, eat to a certain amount of protein, and they'll keep eating until they get that protein. So if your food is protein devoid, which is all processed food is pretty much deficient in protein, you will keep eating, and therefore you will eat too much energy, and you will store that as fat. It's very simple when you like zoom out and don't get caught in a diet camp, and you just realize, okay, I need to look at nutrient to energy and do this properly, because my body's going to eat until it gets these nutrients anyway. And that's it. And what you arrive at is the diet that I eat, which is meat and whole foods. It's kind of like proving the nutrient to energy thing is kind of just proving why we need to eat this kind of diet, which I call sapien, which is just, animal foods as a foundation and then whole foods.
Yeah. Or I mean, like I said, if people don't believe us, they can try for themselves. Try vegan for a week, try keto, try whole food, try 3 or 4 of these things for like a week or 2 or 3 or whatever, and find out for yourself. See how you feel. Did you lose weight? Did you gain weight? Did you, did you have more energy? Did you sleep better? But yeah, I mean, obviously you're on the right track. You've done tons of research on this stuff. You got the podcast, the film's coming out. I mean, I don't know anybody else that's researched this stuff more. And like I said, you're not trying to prove a certain side. You're in camp, no camp, which same as me. So it's great stuff. I look forward to seeing the film soon. Hopefully somewhere available, Netflix, or is there another possibility it might be somewhere else?
I have no idea at this point. We're really early. I think we'll get on a major platform. It's a 6-part series. If not Netflix, then maybe we would just go on Amazon Prime. I don't know if that's going to help more or less people watch it. We're just concerned about getting the most amount of people watching it. And then also I want to follow up. Nose to Tail is the oyster pills. So that's my company. We make them at nosetotale.org. And yeah, I'm in the camp, no camp. I really don't have an agenda. It's like, I'm just trying to make food lies. My sapien philosophy is just following nature, basically. And it's not a camp, really. It's just like, I'm in reality camp reality.
Right.
Follow
camp
nature.
reality. I love that truth. It's cool to see a lot of people waking up to this stuff. But again, I feel like that, to me, that is the biggest challenge, is not necessarily even fighting these big food corporations or even the government or all this stuff. It's like getting the average person to wake up and believe this stuff. Because if we all felt this way, trust me, things would change quickly. Because if it's all of us against them, they'll do they don't want to go out of business. So if everyone stopped buying, these cereals and sugary stuff, I mean, they would figure out a way to make it healthy.
Change. Yeah. It happens. So
yeah. Well, awesome. I'll put your links in the show notes, and people can follow you on Instagram. One of my favorite Instagram accounts for sure. And great podcast and everything that you're doing. I appreciate all the work that you're doing, and thanks for doing my podcast.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, man.
All right. See you later, Brian.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Every topic, one of a kind. From the rockers to the wise men. Tune in, folks, you'll be